there. And then we went to Santa Barbara, we went to Grenada, we went to the Netherlands. My sister who organizes it, who led it in the Netherlands, got it supported from the ministries over there, is here with us right now. Karen, I'm so happy that you are here. We were so excited gathering the force of other sisters her who also say we will, and then it happens. It's as simple or as sorry, is there something else happening? Yeah, come. Yeah, come sit on the stage. Yes, I agree with Vinay completely. These girls have been hiding behind, saying, no, please don't get us on the stage. Can we have a round of applause, please, for the organizing team of the local chapter, of the All Ladies, with Pratyusha, with Sakina, with Lakshmi, with Meg. Everybody, please come on stage. Sandhya, Rajshri. Everybody, please take the seats that there are. I like the music. Thank you. Please take your seats. Now the stage is set. Don't you agree with me? Yeah, sit wherever, please. Please, all of you, please be here because I'm going to include you in my speech and you're going to be part of an exercise here. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so yesterday we were very graciously hosted for tea at the beautiful palace of the Prince of Arcot, Asif ji. We are so delighted that you are able to join us today for the inaugural. And we started a conversation yesterday. We started a conversation about us being goddesses, us being Shaktis, us being divine beings, men included. There's another name for that, but this is the Women's Forum, so I'm going to focus on the divine feminine for these 2 days. And every goddess rises to the occasion. We know the mother of all goddesses, the confluence of all goddesses, Ma Durga, who has 10 weapons. And we spoke about this weaponry, that when does the goddess in each woman say, enough is enough when faced by demonic forces? And of course, she's already having, we already do things in a space of love and compassion, and that can be also intensified. So what are the weapons that you are going to have in your life? So there are, what kind of weapons does Durga have? Does anybody have like some ideas? I had to Google this morning to refresh, okay? But so I'm not going to answer. So like the quiz master refrained from the answers, I'm going to refrain. So I'm going to ask everybody, you don't have to name all 10, but just, off the head, just to get this morning started, a little interaction. Nobody's getting any marks or lack of it for saying or not remembering, whatever, just to kind of get the conversation started. So what is there in the hands of Mother Durga? Trishul, okay, Trishul, sword, shank, discus is there, lotus is there. I don't know, somebody will have to verify that, but the quiz master's forgotten all this also. But anyway, the point is matching the energies of what she does or expressing the energies of what she can do. She has implements. Now in our, when we used to watch Ramayana and Mahabharata when we were kids on television, right? And there was this wonderful phrase, that you often heard, which was called Astra and Shastra, right? So do we all know these words? Astra and Shastra. Now I was wondering what is the difference between Astra and Shastra? How are they different? Why are they two separate words? Why is it just Shastra? What is the Astra part of the Shastra? So I got to understand that Shastra is the physical weapon that you see. It can be Trishul, it could be a pen, it could be a sword, it could be a musical instrument, it could be a physical any instrument. Whereas Astra is a divine instrument, is a more symbolic, which can be manifested into the Shastra. You can channel the Astra into the Shastra. So let's say you said the Brahmastra. Now it could channel itself into an arrow, but the power of the arrow was the astra, which was coming from a divine source. So the whole, the whole mental expansion takes place when we think in terms of weaponry. So yesterday we started talking about weapons that women had to use 100 years ago in order to get themselves greater voice to be able to step out. In today's times, where we are at a threshold where Kali Yuga or the forces that are violent are also on the rise, but also the age of love, or I don't know what it's called, Satyug or whatever it's called, the age of love is also on the rise. So what are the astra shastra that we need on the one hand to fight the so-called demonic or the evil or the negative tendencies that are on the rise, which express themselves as aggression, as violence, as intolerance, and what are the weaponry, the astra shastra that we need on the positive side in order to intensify the love and the compassion. So I'm going to do a little exercise with you, a journey with you, an interaction with you. We are going to move from the personal space to a social space to the organizational space that we are in at the All Ladies League. So ready? Ready? Yes. Ready? Yes. So, okay. So I will start with my goddesses here on stage, okay? Works here? Yes. So all the goddesses here on stage, I want you to think about this. Think about who you are, and I enjoined everybody to participate in this exercise because it's very, very useful. I'm not sure if we can take the answers in the interest of time, but believe me, you will go out of this room very, very changed with a much greater focus about what your weaponry and what your arsenal and what your astra shastra is right here, right now. So you will think about who you are and what drives you today in this moment. It could change tomorrow. It could have been different yesterday, but right here, right now, you think you are a goddess with these two hands, and imagine yourself like Mother Durga sitting there holding something in your right hand and holding something in your left hand. So close your eyes, everyone, take a deep breath. On your left hand, in your right hand, what is it that you see as a symbol that completely embodies your energy, your deepest motivation, your drive with which you walk out into this world? Whether somebody sees it or not doesn't matter. Whether you even know it doesn't matter. You're going to know it right here, right now. So think about it. A moment of silence. What do you see? You, the goddess of your gift, in your right hand, in your left hand, as your weaponry. It doesn't have to be a weapon. It can be a tool, it can be an implement, it can be a symbol of what you stand for and what you feel is truly, truly you. So if you've been able to see what's in your right hand and what's in your left hand, you're truly blessed. And now we are going to take out your blessings and share it with everyone here. Who is ready? My goddess Pratyusha, the chapter chair for all Chennai, one of our youngest chapter chairs who's brought this magic forward. I ask the goddess Pratyusha, what is there as weaponry in her right hand and left hand?
Productivity and positivity.
So can we have like a symbol of it? What do you see as symbols?
In right hand, a baby.
In right hand, a baby. That's beautiful, isn't it? And in the left hand?
In left hand, a lotus, white lotus.
A white lotus, a baby and a lotus. Can you imagine this weaponry, which is so beyond the traditional sense of weaponry we understand? Somebody with the feelings of, would you love to bow to a goddess who has a white lotus and a baby in her two hands? We bow to you, Pratyusha. Thank you. Who's next? Sandhya. So give us the symbol of what is in your right hand and what is in your left hand.
So interestingly, in my right hand also I had a lotus, and that to me symbolized coming out of any situation, because the lotus rises out of filth.
Beautiful.
So that is the right hand, and the left hand is a violin, because I'm a musician at heart, and I think music is the soul and gives me a lot of peace and energy.
Oh, I'm beginning to get tears into my eyes now because this is getting really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And I
Sandhya.
play the violin too. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Sakina, can we have?
In my right hand,
Yeah, just keep the mic close.
in my right hand, there's a blue ball of light for compassion. In the left, I had a pearl oyster with a pearl inside, which means we're all free. We have more love and we can share much more.
A ball of blue light. Blue is the deepest color in Indian iconography. That's why Shiva is blue, Krishna is blue. So it's the deepest color which denotes infinity. So you're holding infinity in your hand, in the womb of Mother Earth, and you have the pearl in your other hand, which says, when you dive deep into, or when you go rock bottom, those are the treasures you find. So never go empty-handed. Even I don't know. This is what the devotee is also taking out meanings from the deity. So you're all my deities here. So I'm taking out my meanings as a devotee from all the symbols that you are holding, all the astra shastra that you are holding in your hand as the enlightened weaponry. Lakshmi. Lakshmi, your name is already like a weapon itself. Yeah?
Well, yes, I wish it's a weapon for me also. But honestly, if I close my eyes today or if I keep it open, I have two things. On my left hand, I have these tags, playing with people. And we are really, so happy to have so many lovely speakers amidst us. And my right hand, I have the awards. Are you okay with the names?
Totally.
I hope there's no mistakes.
We totally love your weapons, which remind us every day to go back to the desk. Get to work. Get going without wasting even the slightest bit of meditative time.
Absolutely. So eyes closed, eyes open. Today, these are the two things in my hands.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lakshmi. See, that goddess of wealth is very practical always. Meg.
Well, I saw a pink lotus in my right hand, which is very fragrant. Okay. In my mind, I felt it is very fragrant and is spreading the fragrance everywhere. And interestingly, in my left hand, I saw a bowl of rice.
Beautiful. Annapurna.
I'd like nobody to be hungry ever in this country.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, just listening, I would love to actually go across the room because this is so deep what's happening here right now. Rajshri?
In my right hand, I saw a red rose. It's a symbol of love. And in my left hand, I saw a book and a pen. Because I always believe that the pen is mightier than the sword. So that's what I saw.
Thank you, Rajshri. So those are your tools as you push forward through the darkness, finding answers. Those are your tools. Wield your weapons and walk right into the heart center of the battlefield. More power to you, Rajshri.
Very good morning. In my right hand, I saw a logo of pride of femininity. And my left hand, and I don't know whether it's my eyes open or closed, it was my family picture.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. In my left hand, I could see a Rudrash mala, which connects with me deep end. And my right hand is my paintbrush, of course, art of expression.
Beautiful. The paintbrush, the Rudraksh bead. Every time you look at these things again, when you go back home, see them as your part of your arsenal, as part of your auspicious that you can use to express and implement and symbolize the ideas that you stand for. And never underestimate the power of that idea to make a difference.
Good morning. So on my left hand was a fire in the form of lamp. So it's in our hands to channelize the fire in us and ignite anything and everything around us. So when light is there, then there is no darkness at all. And on the right was again lotus, like most of them, which is, it can be in any situation, but it always gives out its best. It's the most fragrant one.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. I'm Susan. I have a cross and both my hands clasped together, and it means compassion and a sense of gratitude towards what God has given us to be able to breathe another day and to live life to the fullest. Thank you.
Beautiful. I only wish right now there's a painter in the room who is listening to all these beautiful concepts that you are saying and creates a whole collection of goddesses with different gifts, which are daily, everyday goddesses. You know, so can we have a round of applause here for these wonderful, brave, humble, amazing women who are just at it. I'm very tempted to just take a couple of, people here, couple of goddesses in the room who would like to share with us what they saw. Bridge, I see with a hand up. If you'd like to tell us what you saw in your right hand and your left hand as your weaponry.
Thank you so much for this exercise. First of all, it surprised me. I never thought that I'd have these weapons in my hand. I closed my eyes and you said, Durga. I said, no, I don't want to hold a sword or anything. And suddenly I find in my left hand a white lotus. I'm so surprised, and so many of them have, and in my right hand, that white cosmic light. And I'm standing there and this negative, and I feel, okay, somebody's there giving me all the negativity. And my life, just like a torchlight, goes, dispels, and it's clearing all around me, that white energy. I'm really amazed at this exercise.
Beautiful. So
Thank you so much.
So beautiful. Anybody else would like to just let us know? Yeah, there are lots of sisters here. I'm not wearing my spectacles, so I can't really see who it is, but yeah.
First of all, good morning and welcome to each and every lovely person placed here. This is my first web, and thank you, Harbeen. Even though you can't see me, I can see you through eyes. It's really warm and welcoming. I am Mrs. Rena Tandon, all the way flying from Mumbai. Of course, at my own hometown, which is Chennai, so it's more close to my heart. What I could see in both my hands was really stunning, because on the right hand I could see Gautam Buddha, and on the left hand I could just see a lamp that says, "That's where you're supposed to be. Please take all of them with you." So it was just a writing with a light. It said, "You are the person who's going to guide all of them up there, and you have all of them around you to get you up there." So
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being
Really
here. And I will close this first part of the exercise, and we will have more interaction in the second part with everybody here. We're with some, I want to actually ask, Mansi, what did you see in your right hand and left hand? You want to know, right? What this goddess has.
At first,
Bring the mic.
at first, I saw a lot of breath. I could see, I could feel my hands breathing. And then from my right hand, I felt like water was flowing out of it.
Beautiful.
And then on the left, a fire kind of erupted, but it seemed to be in a state of balance because the fire and water, they were working like
She
yin and
is
yang.
the quintessential queen, the queen of elements, isn't she? Amazing, amazing. Thank you all, sisters, for the first part of the exercise. Don't go away. Now begins the second part of the exercise. So the second part is, I want you to all think of situations of crisis, right? And what did you do to solve that crisis, or to address, or to even just counter? We're not even coming to the resolution of it, but your first step, your first action to counter. Somebody's had a fire in the house? Like a fire somewhere in somebody else's house? You had a fire? What did you do when there was a fire in the house? What did you do? What was your first action?
Mike, thank you, Mansi.
Yeah, hi, my name is Rinku from Bangalore. And so this happened at home. My son had the mosquito coil on, and that spark actually fell, on some clothes, which were there. So in the middle of the night, I could smell the smoke, and when I got into his room, I saw there was like, everything was burning around, and this guy was just sleeping, unaware of everything. So the first thing which I did was, to stamp it, with
Your
my
feet, you use the weapon of your feet.
Yes, I used my feet to stamp out the fire, and then I had to I didn't know whether I could add water to it, so I was like just trying to stamp it out, completely with my feet, and then brought in some water and then doused it with water. So that's what I did.
So you use two weapons.
Yeah.
You were right there. You thought on your feet literally, and you stamped it out, and then you knew the more logical counter element to fire was water.
Yeah.
So you went, you got some water, and in case in some other people I know they use some heavy blankets. Sometimes if there's a little fire to sort of put it there. So different kind of weaponry to counter a certain eruption and aggravation that has taken place. Thank you so much. This is a very solemn moment here today, even as I invoke this issue of flooding, because we have chapters in Kerala and we all know what's happening in Kerala right now. The fury of the floods, it's disrupted lives, taken lives, and we have sisters out there, and I'm missing them all here because I know they were all meant to be here. And they cancel their flights because the Kochi airport is closed and there are no flights taking off. And I sent them a message this morning saying we're really missing you all here. And please let us know what we can do, and we will activate, all our networks here to be able to do what we can. And they said, yes, we are fine amongst, the sisters, and we are all going out in the camps and doing what we can. So they are using the weaponry of whatever they have, right? Anybody wants to share a situation similar of a crisis, of an aggravation that happened and what they did as a first response? Yes? Yeah. Mike. Okay, so what we've understood is that if there is a situation, if there is, let's say, fire, there's usually a counter element available. Either you put some dust onto it, you sometimes take dry dust and you put it on the fire, or you get water. There's always an energy which is sometimes off the energy. Sometimes you say, lohe ko loha kaatta hai. Sometimes you need the same elemental energy. So the point of this whole exercise was that there is a diversity of arsenal of weaponry required to address a certain aggravation, and we have to open our minds. We have to understand that different things can work, and all of them work, and none of them is greater or lesser. It just has a purpose, right? And this will bring me to the third part of my exercise, this understanding to say, what is the one weaponry that we all dispose of in the All Ladies League, in this network, which also allows us to access all the other weaponries innate in every hand in this room that we can all access. So think about what that one symbol weaponry is, what that one weaponry is in All Ladies League, and I will use that time to thank my goddesses on stage and invite our speakers for the first session on stage. Thank you everyone for this wonderful, amazing inauguration. Okay, wait, hold. They reminded me that I had forgotten. We have to light the lamp. How could I forget this? With all the goddess energy here, light the lamp and formally inaugurate the Women Economic Forum, Chennai 2018. Ladies.
could I also take this opportunity to invite three special ladies who are amongst us. There's our scientists from ISRO. Could I invite our scientists for the Mangalyaan Mars mission to please also join us on stage. Please give them a warm round of applause. They are making India proud every moment. We will get to hear from them. We will hear their stories of courage, passion, and success.
Thank you everyone. Okay, I will now just conclude the exercise and have Mansi lead us through the next part of the day's proceedings. So I asked you to think about that one weapon, that one astra and shastra together that we dispose of in All Ladies League, and that which can help us access a diversity of astra and shastra innate in the hands of every woman that we can also call for when we need it, even if we don't have it in our hands. Does anybody have any ideas of what that astra shastra is that we already dispose of in All Ladies League? Kuljeet? Beautiful, the light of love, which is embodied in a piece of thread. Do we all know this? We all dispose of the weapon, the astra shastra of this humble thread of the Shakti Bandhan. Because this is no humble thread, dear sisters. This has powers beyond us. And when I use this to tie it on the wrist or the hand of another sister, and offer her the power of my Shakti of togetherness, that I stand with you, dear sister, with all the weaponry that I dispose of. In reciprocity, what do you get? You get that sister telling you, me too, dear sister, I also stand with you in reciprocity, in love, in Shakti Bandhan, with all the weaponry that I dispose of. So your two hands and your two weapons get aligned and allied with her weapons. You have, instead of 2, 4 weapons. Now expand this circle. And you have every weapon that you need in your life to address a variety of situations. And this is already happening. But we need to become aware of the power of Shakti Bandhan, the weaponry that we have, and that can give you the keys to all the locks that lie in your path and unshackle you from that, all that holds you back. So there's actually nothing stopping you at all, except your own will to reach out. So next time we hear of something, next time we face something, let us know that we dispose of this power of unity, of togetherness, in which there is the greatest strength. So let's all commit to using this power of Shakti Bandhan, the master key to unlocking all the other powers which are innate in different people, and channeling them together with the force of a great river, leading uninterrupted, unhinged, unshackled, unimpeded, unhinged, in complete full force to whatever you wish your world to be. Thank you everyone for your patience. I wish you an amazing 2 days.
I'd like to invite on stage someone very, very special who we have amongst us. I invite Dr. Kamala Selvaraj to please join us on stage for the official inauguration of her book with Dr. Harbeen Arora. Please welcome, ma'am. Please join us on the stage. We invite you to say a few words and inspire us this morning.
Good morning, my dear friends. I'm happy to be here in the Economic Forum, and I was invited by Lakshmi Sankar. And I believe you must be doing now lots about Kerala. And you were telling about what is in your right hand and left hand, what you hold. I think I'm happy that I have the power to create babies in both hands. Usually for my first baby, people who were permanently sterile, who could have never had babies in their lifetime, are created by these two hands. I'm happy I produced thousands and thousands of babies, but it didn't come easily. And another thing is, emergency, we save lives. We work, our hands work, our mind works, our whole body works. We give a cardiac massage, drop the drip, start the oxygen, put the leads for the cardiac. We have revived many lives with both hands, brain, body, everything. And therefore, I'm happy to be created by God to do such a noble profession. And this book is something what I struggled when whole India did not know about the test tube babies, and nothing was available. I had to go to Singapore, Australia, Melbourne to know about it, and it was very difficult. There was scarcity of water when I went there. Here we had famine, and there the instruments had the water running all the time. So I said, we cannot do it. And they had a big team and huge instruments, most expensive, and most of it I couldn't understand Australian slang and so many other things. So I came back very depressed that I started to earn that time. I said I lost all my money in the bargain to learn something which I could do for somebody who is permanently sterile. And then it happened that I read in a small Hindu, one small column that people who are Philippine tube stopped cannot have a child, and in vitro fertilization is the only option. That's how I went to Melbourne. But then I came back and my husband has flashed it in a paper, Hindu and Vedantani, and people who read it. Next day morning, I had a huge crowd from the hospital to the gate, people with so much of bundles of the infertility papers done by various specialists. And they said, they all came and touched my feet and said, thank you so much. Now you are there. We are going to have babies. So I didn't know what to tell them, that I can't do anything. I couldn't say that at all. So I could only tell them, oh, just wait for 6 months. I have to gather the things, and definitely I'll make you all pregnant. Don't worry. That's all I could tell. And 3 days I was really mentally off, because 3 days I went to the torture of answering lies to all these couples who were infertile. But then gradually my friends started pepping me up, and my father used to say, you should do something, put your foot in the footpath of time and reach for the unreachable stars. And my mother always said, just go on working blindly. Don't expect any reward for that. It'll come slowly, but it'll come permanently. That's what happened to me. I struggled my whole life alone. I had whoever worked with me, I took them as my group, and I started from the scratch, from the very clay to make a brick, and great came up. And I was rewarded. Though 2 other centers did with the foreigners, one from Singapore team, one from American team, like Apollo, and another one, Shifa Nursing Home. They did it. I was struggling. I go alone with only our people. But God gave me the breakthrough. The first South Indian test tube baby and mother. Many others, India's first and Southeast Asia's first, was given by God to my hospital. And this book will tell you in brief, a drop in the ocean of what I went through. There are 2 books in English, 2 in Tamil. Because when we did the first batch of 9 people, I had a doctor from Bombay to help me. But all the 9 patients failed. All of them, I took only 5,000 rupees, because I didn't know how much you charge. You can't calculate how much you spend. It can't be like that, because you have to be successful first. When they asked me for all the 5,000 rupees each one, I was in tears. Most of the days I used to cry those days. And then I said, okay, now I have to do something. I can't depend on anybody else. So again, I started from the beginning, did everything. This book will tell you people who want to reach the unreachable stars. This book is a real eye-opener. I gave these books to all the test tube baby who come for treatment. They don't ask me a single question. If they fail, they say, when to come next, doctor. So that is the thing the book has done for me. I'm happy to be here, and I hope everything happens. This forum goes well today. All my blessings. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for inspiring us and for helping us start our journey on such a beautiful, positive note. We're deeply touched by your words. And as a mark of our gratitude, we'd like to honor you with a small memento of our affection and award you, on behalf of the Women Economic Forum Chennai 2018, a Woman of the Decade in Healthcare, to Dr. Satana Selvaraj, South India's first IVF specialist, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we begin our inaugural, absolutely enchanting conversation with the leaders of the decade in thought leadership, innovation, and sustainability. It is my privilege to invite the speakers for the very first session. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome on stage Mr. Shashi Kumar, Chairman, Asian College of Journalism. We welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to need a little bit more energy than that. Thank you very much. Could I invite Mr. B. Santanam, President Flood Glass, South Asia, Malaysia, and Egypt. Calling upon Nawab Zada Muhammad Asif Ali Ji, the founder trustee of our foundation. It's an honor. Calling upon Dr. Geeta Madhavan. Dr. Geeta, do we have you with us? Welcoming Dr. Geeta, lawyer and professor, in her own right of much repute.
Let the entire panel come then.
our last speaker for this session, Dr. Amar Prasad Reddy. Calling upon Dr. Amar Prasad Reddy, Director of General National Cyber Safety and Security Standards. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we're at the onset of an extremely engaging conversation, and I'd like to open this speech with Mr. Shashi Kumar to share a few thoughts with us. Over to you.
Thank you very much and a very good morning. We heard at the very opening a lot about the weaponized woman. And that really indicates the way gender justice is going to play out, where woman power is coming into its own. It's not that women have not been important, organic to our lives, as mythology was cited here. We know that there's always been a tremendously powerful, crucial, critical role that the female gender has exercised in human civilization, thought, history, life. But it's in the representation of women that those roles have been negated largely. And I'm personally concerned with that because as a media person, media is all about representation. So there is a real and there is a representation. To go back to the Hindu or Indian thought process, there are 4 forms of cognizance, of understanding your environment. There is what you call pratyaksha, that which is obvious, that which is manifest. Then there is anumana, that which is inferred or derived or deduced. And there is aptavakya, the account of someone who was present. The Mahabharata is told or unfolds as aptavakya. Someone is telling the king, do you know what happened out there? Oh Sanjaya, tell me, and he tells him what happens. And then there is the smriti, memory, because without the cement of memory, none of this makes sense. Why I say all this is, sometimes the real can elude you because you are habituated to, you're a victim of representation. This has been so throughout human history. In the narrative, in the chronicling of human history, what women have done, what women have achieved, have tended to be sidelined, suppressed, marginalized. Take a revolution like the Russian Revolution. It was the women on the 8th of March 1970 who poured out into the streets of St. Petersburg, what's then called Petrograd. It was then the capital of the Tsarist Russia. Spontaneously, because of shortages of bread, because of the tremendously atrocious, shall we say, and totalitarian rule of the Tsar. And when these women went out onto the streets, textile workers from Weidbach Center, women again joined them, hundreds of thousands of women. And the men were literally shamed into joining them after that. And that was the beginning of the Russian Revolution. But when the history of the Russian Revolution is told, it's as if the men flocked into the streets and created a revolution. So women power is really there before us, empirically, in history, but we tend to whitewash it because of the gender injustice that we have inherited, that's been a legacy for long centuries. Therefore it is that you don't recognize what is pratyaksha, what is obvious before you, but you need anumana, the deduction, you need aptavakya, the account of someone, and you are subject to that forms of representation. And Kalidasa Shakuntalam. You know, Shakuntalam, it's about a king who forgets about his wife, right? Mega Sandesh, and he's got what you call amnesia. In the Bollywood movies, you see this hero who loses his memory because something fell on his head, and towards the end of the movie, something else falls on his head and he recovers his memory. It's a bit like that to caricature it. But seriously enough, King Dushyanta, who lost his memory, has snippets of memory coming back sometimes. And he says, I'm paraphrasing it now, my mind takes strange turns. Like I can see an elephant pass before me, but I cannot recognize it as an elephant. But after the elephant has passed, I see the footprints and say, these are the footprints of the elephant, and therefore, that which appeared before me must have been an elephant. In other words, the reality, the pratyaksha of the elephant, if there's an elephant in the room, I won't recognize it. But I need my powers of deduction. I need the power of representation of somebody to tell me these are the footprints of an elephant, and therefore that must have been an elephant. So today in the mediatized world, we are all of representation. And therefore it is when I find that from a clean slate, women are rewriting their narratives. Women are rewriting their history. There is scope for an unrepresented, unadulterated, shall we say, unvitiated, uncompromised, true-telling, a true narrative of what women have been, what women should be, and in the Shakti tradition of India, that they are the better half, literally speaking. So it's significant. And I say this, of course, as someone who thinks that humanity evolves when the genders play their roles in unison. In the Indian tradition, not all is great. We also have the tradition of the Manusmriti, which has often insulted, suppressed, marginalized, and negated the role of women. There's been a kind of male chauvinism, if you like, male chauvinism in an archaic sense. You'll find examples of that in the Manusmriti as well. So there is this tension and this conflict, and the role, therefore, I think, the innovative role, truly innovative role that we need to play is that of rediscovery. I can see many of our students from the Asian College of Journalism, who incidentally are the ones who are carrying this live across the world, because they are live blogging, they're carrying this whole event live. And it's a matter of pride for me that in the last 18 years that we've done the Asian College of Journalism here, 60 to 80% every year of our student intake have comprised of women. The ratio has always been in favor of women. In other words, a traditional male bastion like journalism has now been invaded, has now been taken over literally by women. Women are there there's a huge presence of women in the field of journalism. And they are therefore retelling. They are not saying the same stories. They're saying the same stories, but with a different angle. There's always politics in whatever you see in life. You see something with a male perspective, and you see now again, you begin to see them from a different perspective. It's not coincidental, therefore, that these are reaching a kind of climax, and we have movements like the Me Too movement, where old prejudices, old sins of commission and omission are being accounted for today. So this is how I think there's a kind of retribution, if you like, or historical justice in retrospect taking place. At the same time, I must also point, and this is the last point I'd like to make, I think we've also seen how the stereotypical woman, and since this is a Women's Economic Forum, I think this is of specific or special relevance here, how the stereotypical woman in the market paradigm that we are living through today continues to be propagated. Look at a television serial, for instance. And in this respect, I must actually talk about the Malayalam television serial, where the women are always decked in jewelry and silk saris, even if they're in the bedroom or kitchen or anywhere else, because they become commoditized, they become products of selling something. this is not to suggest that women have all right to express their sexuality, but or sensuality. This is a different concept of using the woman as an objective or an object of commodification. So I think women, certainly the Women's Economic Forum, I'm sure, must have interrogated this, will see through this, and will take steps to counter something like this. These are just some thoughts I thought I should share with you today. Thank you for this opportunity and all the very best.
Thank you, Mr. Shashi Kumar, for sharing your extremely eloquently put thoughts and a very profound derivation of our scriptures to do with the current scenario and the women perspective. Really much appreciated. Thank you. And I do apologize for the bell. I will warn you in advance that we're running, we respect time and we're running on a schedule. So we have about 7 minutes for each speaker. And beyond that, we bell. With that, I invite the next speaker for this morning. We have Mr. B. Santanam. He's the president of Flag Class for South Asia, Malaysia, and Egypt. Over to you, sir.
I thought you're skipping some time, no? I thought I was in next, so it's okay. No problem. Absolutely no problem. One, I'm really impressed when I saw this program that all of you have put together. I was a bit kind of worried. So what am I going to say that is not there in the list? You everything. I know who put this together. About 10 of you must be, right? I think the only person that I've been in touch was with Meghalai, and she's been writing for the last few months and telling me, block your calendar and stuff like that. So it's really an impressive thing, and I really hope that you carry this whole thing through, because this is, we've done conferences, but this is a breathtaking list of things that you're doing. So, and so all the best for that. So therefore, I'm going to just take off, and I'm going to really give a company perspective and what must companies do, because we have a challenge, and Shashi talked about 60 to 80% of his students are women. We don't see them. We don't see them in the media. We don't see them, and that's the same situation today. Really, if you see Tamil Nadu or something like that, or the South, 50% of our colleges are filled with women. The last time I was in a convocation where we talked about the Vellore Institute of Technology. It's a good place. Every single topper is a woman. It's extraordinary, but we lose them. That's really the challenge that I have as a person who's running a company. We have a big challenge, and my biggest challenge is really how do I attract, retain, nurture women, and this is not just us. Everywhere in the world is the same challenge. Some parts of Europe, they've done a better job, and with a lot of pressure on legal things. So what I'm going to say is that since it's a Women Economic Forum, and I'm going to do something very simple. I'm going to read out what my wife wrote. Okay, so I thought that it's much better to read what she wrote and what must companies do. And so she wrote that a few months ago, and so I was just thinking about what is the best. So there are a few things. One, we know that there's simple statistics. India can add about $700 billion if we have all the women in the workforce. Okay? It doesn't mean that women who are at home are not adding value, but just remember that today it's really possible for us to have support systems so that you can come and do something which is significantly better for what you have done. So therefore, this is something which is possible. So therefore, we know that it's roughly 25% of our GDP can be added if we have all the women coming into the world of work. And we are not doing enough as companies. So therefore, I'm just telling myself what I should be. This is what my wife told me, but, and she practices that. So the first thing is, I think we lose them in the school. I think there is enough studies, and some of what I'm saying may appear to be a challenging notions, but the reality is between class 9, 10, 11 and 12, women, girls particularly, lose what is called career intentionality. And I think it's an important thing for parents as well as school to really bring in this career intentionality. And we are working together with another extremely successful woman, Soundarya Rajesh. I think many of you will know her. I think who runs this avatar where they're trying to get back women back into the career. And her group is working on this career intentionality. How do we really bring career intentionality to the girls in the age, say 15 to 18 or something? I think they really start to lose them because they start to separate out. And this is reality. Anywhere in the world, it's the same. So one of the things that we are trying to do is the first thing is, can we really influence them and induct them into the world of work much earlier? So college is 3 or 4 years, depending upon where they go. It's one thing to have very inspirational women coming and talk, and I think first thing that comes to your mind is Indra Nooyi. I think it's an extraordinarily inspirational person. But for me, I think you learn much more from someone very similar to you who has accomplished. It's always a big challenge to learn from someone who is out there, and it's very difficult to learn from Usain Bolt how to do athletics, but you learn someone who has done it well. So what is important for the companies is really we have to work with them at the college level to build this career intentionality, to bring about the difference. Because in men, we don't think about anything else other than just it just comes naturally. Okay, so I'm going to speak only from a women professionals in the workforce because that's my specialty. So therefore, this is something which we have to do. And therefore, what is important is to get some of the women, the 5 to 10 years in workforce, who have gone through this various stages where women get tripped. Okay, and when they come and talk to the women, the girls in the college, and I think that inspiration will be very significant. So therefore, the first thing is really we have to influence them before we start inducting them into workforce. And I don't think we're doing a great job. We are trying to do that in our own company to be able to do that. The second one is there are clearly 3 or 4 breaks that women go through. That's biology. I don't think any one of us can change that for the next few million years. So firstly, getting into the world of work is a big challenge today. And then there is a break which comes in the form of, marriage. And broadly and regrettably, women follow the man in their career. And therefore, there is a break in the career. Whether you like it or not, we can debate it, why should an individual do that? But the reality is broad majority of women give up their first break. The second break that we have is when they have a child, and it's by nature, anywhere in the world or something like that, the women are taking care, and therefore that's a second break. The third break is when the kids are going to college or school or something like that. That's when the break takes. And the fourth break, and increasingly today, a large number of women are supporting their parents. I mean, the parents are being taken care of by women. We are not doing anything in that. So essentially, there are these 4 or 5 breaks which come, and which really, it's not a glass ceiling. It's not like a glass ceiling. It's a labyrinth which you go through. And that's a big challenge that you are moving. At every stage you see a block, and then you come back. And therefore, I'm not surprised we are not seeing too many of them as leaders in the world. And we have one Indra Nooyi, and he's being replaced by a man, unfortunately. So the point is that we have to do something about it. Therefore, we are not doing enough to support and sustain. I'm actually fighting a problem in my company where I had an executive assistant. She's a bright woman, and a child is going through a challenging period at this. She says, I want to quit. She just says, I want to quit. It's just impossible for me to balance. So I said, don't ever quit. That's the first thing that I would say. Don't ever quit, because it's very easy to quit, but getting back into a career or something like that is extremely tough. So therefore, we need to sustain them during that extremely challenging period and support them. So therefore, this support and sustain. The next one, where I think is the third part, is what we call as a nudge and nurture. The problem is, even in my company, I have an extremely bright woman. She's a chartered accountant, very competent, but she won't volunteer for leadership position because she just waits most women wait. May not be valid for ALL or WF women because you are special, but a large percentage of women wait. You constantly underestimate it. Men suffer from excess optimism, you suffer from excess pessimism about your own capabilities. We have to nudge and nurture them during that period, say, you can take that. And my wife had this incredible opportunity to be able to do that because at every time she had a thing, she had an extremely talented sponsor or a boss or something. They said, you can do it. What are you talking about? We can easily manage all of that. So I think we need to really give them that little bit of help in nurturing that capabilities during that particular period. We need to nurture it during that period. So therefore, this is an important thing. And this has to be done obviously by a sponsor in the company. Okay, the last but one is coach and connect. I think women need to be coached and connected. You're not in the network. You're in a network, which is fantastic. You have a fantastic women economic forum network, but regrettably that a good part of you are not in the companies in the economic sphere. So what is important is this connection and network is very crucial. It comes quite automatically for a person to stay back after a work and a party and things like that. You have to get home, you have to take care of the kids, you have to take care of the parents or the parents-in-law. There's so much of things that are there. So therefore, it's absolutely vital for you to do that. So therefore, we have to really make sure the networks, you're nudged into the network so that you can do that. The last part of it is we have to change our own incentives. For instance, 10% of my annual incentives are determined by whether I'm progressing on diversity agenda in my company. That's a hugely important because therefore I'm putting clearly right down the company. I'm saying that we need to do this, we need to add something. Let's identify women-only positions. This year we have recruited 50 engineers. We said we'll first recruit the first 10 women, then only we start the 11th to 40th man. And we are lucky that this year we've got about 16 women engineers. For a manufacturing company, it's not easy to do that. So when I come back, I just have these 5 things. So the first thing is you really have to influence them and induct them into the company. You'll have to support and sustain them during those crucial phases. You have to really nudge and nurture them. And we need to really make sure that we coach and connect them. And the last is the incentives have to be aligned in the company. So I talk from the perspective of the company, and a large number of companies are now trying to do that. Maybe Nawab will know, one of the most beautiful companies I think they've done a nurturing environment for 80% of their employees were women, and they've done an amazing job. And they are in a small place called Ranipet, and we happen to see them the way that company is nurtured in a very traditional industry or leather industry where women don't get employed. Okay, from a traditional or natural. So there are a lot of people who are trying to make this difference, and I hope that your network will connect with the network of those people who have to make these things happen. Thank you, and it's really wonderful being here.
Thank you so much, sir, for touching upon those very delicate issues. I think you touched upon career intentionality. That is such a beautiful thing that you talked about. Because to start to harbor that quality right from the adolescence or so, it could change the way you approach your career. And you talked about creating role models, because I think to have also that ties in with Pratyaksha, what Mr. Kumar talked about just earlier, because to have a role model in your immediate periphery, in your immediate vision, it's the most powerful form of education. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's very thought-provoking. Thank you. With that, I'd like to invite our next speaker, the charming prince himself, Nawabzada Muhammad Asif Ali ji. We had the privilege of being in their ancestral home, palace, yesterday, and he was such a gracious host. Thank you. Over to you.
A very good morning. Namaskaram and salam. It was our pleasure, Mansi. First of all, I'd like to say that it's my privilege and my honor to share the dais with such eminent people. All of you, especially I'd like to mention the name of Mr. Shashi Kumar, because me personally, I've been seeing him when we were growing up, and when we were in college, we've been seeing him personally. We used to admire him from that time on TV, and to share the dais with you, sir, it's my honor. National Geographic and Discovery Channel. And usually I like watching wildcats, lions especially. I'll tell you why. There is usually one lion and a lot of lionesses. That's how the pride works. I'm sure you know that, right? So in one pride, a lot of lionesses, and usually one lion or two lions. I think it's one. So when I walked in today, there were only ladies in the lobby, and suddenly I felt like a lion walking towards the lionesses. Felt good. I was walking, I felt like lion with a mane walking and all lionesses around, until I walked in, because earlier I was told to speak on my journey in life and to connect to today's success. Whether successful or not, that I don't know. But then when I came in, I was told by a couple of lionesses that I should speak on Women's Economic Forum only. So suddenly, all that lion mane went off, and I became a deer from a lion. Then while sitting here, because the whole subject changed now, because I thought I'd touch a few points on them, but then suddenly the whole speech should be on Women's Economic Forum. And so I just wrote down a few points which I wanted to discuss here, which is a very good opportunity, in fact. First, what came to my mind is why Women Economic Forum? I've seen in many places, not only here, is Women Economic Forum, women's rights. I've never seen Men Economic Forum or men's rights. Economic Forum or Women's Economic Forum. There is no Men Economic Forum, men's rights in the society. So who's dividing this? Are the women doing themselves? Are the men doing it? Or is the society doing it? See, I think one thing you have to understand is, this is what I'm going to say, it's my point of view, it's what I think. It's not a general thought or something. In today's society, I think, first thing you have to understand is men and women are equal, but not identical. You have to understand that. They are not identical. Accepted, this is the truth. But they are equal in stature, in rights. Identical, I mean, physically we are different, emotionally we are different, psychologically we are different. Physically, men are stronger, there's no doubt about it. Emotionally, women are stronger. So if this is accepted, I think the lion and the lionesses can live more in harmony. Because usually this is the problem. They say, we are equal. Of course you are equal. Who says no? Definitely. Men who say that women are not equal is not right. We are one society, we are one species, different gender. Emotion, see, why I'm saying physically, if there's a burglar who breaks into your house, the man goes to handle it. Is it life you go? No. Man has to do that. Physical work, axing the wood, man has to do it. From those days, from the Stone Age. Emotionally, women are stronger because women talks to women, well, women doesn't talk to a man when she's emotional. She talks to a mother, not the husband. Because husband will never listen. Woman talks to her husband will say, yeah, Sachin Tendulkar, how he missed his 100. This is the truth. Most of us will act, will hear. Some things, what we want to hear, we hear, other things go out. So, I was just taking the points that what are the factors which affect this equality between men and women. So I thought I'd touch those points. So I've just taken a few points. I will not elaborate much on it, but just touch those points. A few other points also I've taken, which can relate to the economic forum of women. Not only economic forum, but we'll touch the subject of women as a whole, especially in our country, India. It's a great country. So there are certain factors which make women's society. The first one is safety. We talk about women's safety always, we never talk about men's safety. Why? I think here, it's not the women who are responsible, it's the men. So I'm pointing out at the men here. It's so many factors relating to this, education, their interacting with the women, how they are grown up, so many factors. I will not go into those details, but point number one I thought is safety of women. I think we have to think more about how to improve that, especially in our country. Half the news doesn't come out. There are hundreds of attacks happening on women, especially in North India, where we are here in South, much safer. So what do we do about this as a society? Because we are in the metros, we are not affected much. But in the rural areas, in the villages, women are handled very badly. Of so many other reasons. I mean, I don't have time to touch all those topics now, but just that I think we can all like-minded people here talk about that, how to improve women's safety. Because all these points will ultimately come to the economic forum. Number two is, I thought, was independence of women. Women's independence in her life is much lower. I'm comparing here our country with other nations. So what do we do to improve the independent condition of the women? Otherwise, she is always suppressed, taken advantage of. So all these are being equal or not. So here, the inequality comes with all these things. Because when we talked about safety, women's safety. Independence, women's independence. We don't say men's independence. So how do we, men and women, get together and bring this balance? That's what I'm talking about. Number three, obviously, education. Many societies in our country, many families, many castes, many religions believe that women need not go to educate themselves. I don't know why. And there is misconception also that certain religions force this on women. I don't think any religion forces it on, or any caste system forces this on women. I think it's the society which makes this. That only men have to educate it. No, women, you sit at home, educate at home. Why that? Why that notion itself? I think we have to come out of this. And also, I'll touch this point that there's a misconception, because I come from the religion of Islam, And they say that no, in Islam it teaches that women have to be at home, should not go out. No religion will teach that. Our religion of Islam is based on the teachings of the Prophet, and the Prophet's wife was a business lady, and she was the most educated. That's an example. Similarly, all religions. It's women, education is very important. How many minutes? Time? I'm not even started. Should I stop? 1 minute. No. I know. Because I'll skip all of the points and okay. Yeah. I was just thinking of teaching women job skills and savings for women, not only for the husband but for the wife also. But you've already rung the bell, yeah? Wait. I thought I'd touch a lot of topics about our culture and how it affects the women. And okay, give me 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I thought I'll also touch topic on our heritage, Indian culture, and how it's taken shape today, and how our youth have forgotten our roots, and they are forcing the Western culture down our throats. So who decides which culture is modern, which is right? Every culture is beautiful. So I think here, I was talking to my wife today, I think the parents, especially the mother, has a lot of role to play in this when the child is growing up. So it's the women here who shape the child in how he grows up, what culture, what roots he learns. So I think, I don't know whether, when you're thinking of right hand, left hand, I was thinking of a whole pile of things here with both my hands. So I think what I'm trying to say is, the children today have to learn what our history is, what our culture is, so that it's applied today, because today, our today is going to die. It is almost dead. In our great nation today, we are fighting in the name of religion, in the name of caste, whereas the whole world is going on a different mode of development. So I think here the women can play a strong role in how they bring their children up, teach them moral values, teach them it's very important that you teach the roots, the culture of our country. Anyway, I think I've just spoken about 25% of what but maybe next time, but this is what I wanted to say, that finally I would say that what women say, what women do makes a great impact on the society as a whole. I think you can break or make a society. So I wish that you make the society and you make it well. And thanks you again for having me here. I have a lot to say. Probably I'll put it on your website. And thank you so much again. It's an honor again to share the dais with this lovely people. And thank you again so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asif, for your words. We apologize for the paucity of time. So if we have you for the next 2 days, I think we'd love to speak with you more on everything that you have to share offline. So please be with us over the duration of the next 2 days so we can continue this conversation. Thank you. And also I want to thank you for bringing that extremely refreshing perspective on gender equality right from the jungles. Thank you. With that, I'd like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Geeta Madhavan, a lawyer and professor of international law, and ladies and gentlemen, the first woman in the country to hold a PhD in international terrorism. Please welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank the organizers for having me here this evening. It's a pleasure to be here, Harbeen. And I really enjoy sharing the days with everyone almost I know here. And it's a wonderful opportunity for me to share a few thoughts. And I think I will just, I find it extremely difficult when people tell me, tell us something about your journey. Because, you know, my journey is not ended. And it's just going on. So where do I start and, you know, where do I go? But I would like to instead just share a few thoughts about this mixed up person whose day job is a lawyer, who works as a geostrategic analyst, and is now, in the last 3 months, also emerged as a published poet. So, thank you. So, I'm just going to tell you, I don't have a Sermon on the Mount. I don't have Buddha's 8-way path to achieve something. But what I do have, and I'm taking the imagery which Harbeen brought out earlier, about what do you have in your hand? So taking that imagery, I would say, I have a trident in my hand. 3 is a magical number in almost all religions. The Trinity is very, very magical number. Every religion, for some reason, finds 3 to be one of the most divine numbers. And going by that, I think I shall go again, use the 3 as trident and share these little thoughts with you. The first thing is, the first prong of the trident would be passion. One has to be absolutely passionate about everything one does, whether it's cooking, whether it's writing, whether it's reading, whether it's singing, whatever it is, one has to do it with complete passion. When I registered, actually my whole, the question I'm often asked is why international terrorism? So I'll just take a minute to explain that. When I wanted to do my PhD in international terrorism, I basically did my master's in international law, so my interest was in international law. But I focused on international terrorism, and what was the final push towards it was the 1991 assassination of our erstwhile Prime Minister, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, and I realized that international terrorism had come to stay. However, that was not the view that everyone took, so I had well-meaning colleagues and friends, and I even had university saying, you cannot do a PhD in this subject. Now, you never, ever tell me not to do something, because that's when I go for it, and my poor husband knows that the best. So what happened was, of course, I had to fight to do that, get myself registered to do the PhD in international terrorism. But that was a challenge, and so I went about it with such passion. Finding materials was a problem, getting people to talk about it was a problem. Everybody was like, why this? You can't make money out of it. And this kind of, so it took me a little longer. It was a long journey. I won't go into it. We can all Google whatever we want. These days we can run, but we cannot hide anymore. So anybody who wants to see that journey, it's all out there. But the point is, I went after it literally like a puppy dog with a rubber slipper. There was no way I was going to leave it. So I would think about it, and I would chew on it, and I would write about it, and I would read about it, and so on and so forth. Now I'll cut that part short and go on to the next prong of the trident. The next prong of the trident, which I think we as women, it's very important for us to know, is forgiveness. We have to accept that we have to forgive ourselves, because I do not believe that the word failure. There are no failures, there are weaknesses. We are all weak in some areas, we're all strong in other. The moment we accept that and we don't berate ourselves when we don't get where we really want to get, or we don't achieve the level we want to achieve, we have to accept that we have certain weaknesses, and we forgive ourselves for those weaknesses. And having identified those weaknesses, we build our core strength. So go for that completely, because because the moment you forgive yourself, you learn to love yourself as you are. And by loving yourself, I definitely don't mean putting thousands of selfies on Facebook and Instagram as a show of love. Rather, accepting yourself completely the way you are. And then you come to terms with yourself, and you put that away, and then you surge forward. The third prong connects with the second one. The moment you learn that you have weaknesses, that you have to build your core strength, that you can definitely find everything you want, but you are not failing in any way, you learn compassion. Compassion, I'm not talking in the broad sense of compassion for humanity, but I'm talking in a smaller world sense as compassion for your colleagues, for your family members, when they do not reach where you want them to reach. Because you accept that just as you have weaknesses, so do they. So you take them along with you. You take them with you to do what you and they should be doing together. And that's something on a lighter note, last evening I was talking to a friend, a male friend, and the thing that came out in the talk, which was a lot of fun, was that the impression that men have, and I do not mean the men on the days or the men in the room, but generally, is that when women get together, we just size each other up about our saris and our jewelry and our looks and the number of wrinkles that we have etched in our face in this journey of life. Well, let me disillusion you. We don't. A lot of us women take a lot of our own sister women and we search forward and we march forward and we help them and we work with them and we share ideas, we exchange thoughts. There's so much that we do. So this impression, thank you, this impression that we are victims of our femininity is very wrong. We are not victims of our femininity, we cherish our femininity, we love our femininity. Whichever religion one belongs to, one thing I would always say that if I were to come back, in every life, I want to be a woman. In every single life. Because I think we can do so much for ourselves, we can do so much for our homes, we nurture our homes, we stand by our male members, whether they are fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, boyfriends, lovers, whatever, and we stand by them, they do, even if they don't acknowledge, they know in their deepest of their hearts how much of energy and strength they derive from us. That's absolutely true. And I would like to see anyone deny that. And I think in Chennai, people know I'm a very strong woman, so I don't think anybody's going to come to my face and deny it. So having said that, I find that we have to really think in terms of building ourselves. We are not competing. I agree with Nawabji completely. We are not competing. We are already in a superior position inside. We just have to manifest that outside. We just have to go out there and say, this is what we are doing. The second point also, which I acknowledge, which was brought up by Mr. Santanam, that in this room, definitely we are achievers, every one of us. In this room, we have all the advantages that society, world, fathers, mothers, brothers, husbands, lovers, boyfriends, everybody has given us. We enjoy it. We don't worry about our next meal. We don't worry about our education, whether we can go to college or not, whether we have clothes to wear or not. But majority of women out there all over the world are struggling for these basic things that we take for granted. And whenever we achieve something, I think we have to return something to society. So talking about economic achievements that we make or professional achievements that we make, I think each one of us here owes to bring at least one woman along with us towards the same goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for unpacking the potentiality of what it means to be a woman. And I think you're a poignant celebration of that fact. Thank you. So inspiring to hear you speak. And your body of work speaks for itself as well. With that, I'd like to invite our last speaker for this session, Dr. Amar Prasad Reddy. We welcome you. He is the Director, General National Cyber Safety and Security Standards.
Happy morning, friends. I would like to pay my respects to the son of Sai, late Dr. Bharat Ratna, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. I learned a lot from him. It's just 7 minutes. I'm not going to talk about women empowerment. I'm not going to talk about gender equality. I'm just going to point out a few things which might help you. I'm the only person who's been invited with a full protocol from the Russian government, and they awarded me with the Russian Federation Medal for the internet governance. If I don't say this, it will be like another speech. Now you will accept my points. How many of you from Tamil Nadu? Good. How many of you know Tamil? Okay. தாய்மொழிகளிலே சிறந்த மொழி தமிழ் மொழி. தாய்மொழிகளிலே சிறந்த மொழி தமிழ் மொழி. Not required. Not required. Only Tamil people know it. I never addressed in this kind of forum because I have been always with the youth. Of course, you are also look like you in your mind and body language. But I think you have crossed 32.
Very generous.
Vinastriya Jaranam Nasti. Vinastriya Gamanam Nasti. Vinastriya Jivam Nasti. Vinastriya Shushti Eva Nasti. Have you heard about this? Now, so many movies are using this one. Vinastriya Jaranam Nasti. In the sense, if she is not there, there is no creation. No creation. Vinastriya Jivam Nasti. If she is not there, you will not be breathing. You will not exist at all. Vinastriya Gamanam Nasti. If she is not there, you will not have a destiny. There is no destiny without her. Vinastriya Srushti Eva Nasti. If she is not there, there is no world, no God, nothing. This sloka is from our Vedas. See, the Indian culture, we have been always giving the first priority, in fact, supreme legacy to the woman. It is a Western thought which penetrates into Indian soil. There the insecurity comes. It's not there at all in our culture. It will be there, here and there. When the chairperson was talking about the weapons, I was just thinking what kind of weapon a girl should have. On one hand, most of them were preferring one hand lotus, on one hand, mostly lotus because most of the goddess will be holding lotus. On one hand, something, maybe power, fire, but my preference will be one side you must carry AK-47. On one side you must have rocket launcher. This is very, very, very required, this present situation. The present situation. Hope the government will provide license for you. And one more thing is figuring in my mind. So I am a person where I cannot control my feelings. Colonel, please sit in the front row. Please come. Please come. Please come. You deserve that. Please. You know, I closely work with the defense. I know what kind of contribution they do for our nation. 5 simple points I would like to address here. 1, what makes you an achiever? and what makes you a leader, and what makes you a great person beyond leadership. 5 points, just 5. Be humble wherever you are, whatever is your designation, whatever is your profile, be humble. You know one thing? If I ask you a simple question, maybe let me ask the chairperson. She was asking so many, no? What is the greatest and happiest news at this moment? Greatest and happiest, maybe news or maybe anything. If I ask you something, this moment.
For me, it is.
This is not there in the 7 minutes, huh?
Okay, it's outside of the 7 minutes. For me, the happiest news is that I know that in our network, all these women who are right here, right now, are going through tons of challenges in their personal lives, in different walks of life. Knowing that, hearing that, and trying to solve that, they still took out time to be here, listening to speakers on the days, yourself here. To me, that is the sign of hope and the greatest news of possibility and change without the AK-47 at this point in time.
Anyone from audience? Expected? Anyone would like to say? What is the happiest moment at this moment? Happiest news? Yes.
That we are breathing.
Exactly. That is what I want to mention. Every day in this world, the Almighty took almost 150,000 lives. 150,000 lives goes away from this planet. 150,000 lives. What sin they committed and what good we done to this world? It is just God thought that we must be here in this day to do something for the humanity. I always say, when you get an opportunity, try to do something for the nation. Try to do something for your own community. Try to do something for your family. So be humble. We are blessed to be alive in this day. Whoever we are, whatever may be the position, how big you are, you may be a millionaire, billionaire, having Rolls Royce, whatever car, one thing will come for sure, one thing. One thing. It's not a diamond like this, huh? Death. It will come. One day it will knock your door. Keep that in your mind. If you keep that in your mind, then you don't need to talk about the empowerment, then you don't need to talk about equality, then you don't need to talk about education. Everything you will serve for the nation, you will serve for the society, you will serve for the community. You have to keep that in your mind. And second, never give up. Never. Whatever may be the situation. தமிழ்ல சொல்லணும்னா இந்த சைடு மாமியார் இருக்கலாம், மருமகள் பிரச்சனை இருக்கலாம், husband problem, whatever it is, never give up. Never. I will share one small story in my life. Small story. It happened in 2008. That was the time I was just starting my career. I think still I have 2 minutes, 3 minutes, huh? 2 minutes. 2 minutes, yes. They were busy. Small story. In 2010, I was starting my life. 2008, sorry. Somehow I got an appointment with one of the most influential person in this country. He is the chairman and CEO for one of the mobile communication network. They were leading in this country that time. I got an appointment. I gone inside. I approached for some project. So I gave some proposal to him. He never asked me to just sit down, or he never offered anything. I was just standing there. I gave the proposal. He saw the proposal, then he was asking, who are you? Who are you? I was telling, Amar Prasad Reddy. After 2 seconds, again, same question. Who are you? I didn't get it. Then again, I am Amar Prasad Reddy. I came for business. After 2 seconds, he was asking, who are you? Then something knocked my head. He is not asking about my name. He is asking about my identity. He is trying to insist that I am nobody. Through someone you got an appointment, so I gave appointment. Why should I speak with you? In 2014, when that company faced a crisis, and they have breached the data, what they collected from the customers, I have been appointed by the parliament as a chairman for that committee. The same person, I met him in Delhi. He was there and he was receiving me. That moment I decided, never give up. Someday or some moment you will win. For sure you will win. The nature will give you the blessings. Never give up. And third, don't be insecure. Don't be afraid of surroundings. Now in this country, the media, our friend is here from journalism. Media, I will talk about this. Morning TV vecha. Avana ivan konnutan. Even avan konnutan. And even headlines, you see, you take any newspaper, any newspaper, first news will be negative. Never, the journalism should not do this. Journalism should encourage the positivity. Then the country will lead towards positivity. So we, in the position of building our nation, we need to think about positive things. So with all your energy, from this day, I believe that every one of you will become one of the greatest leaders for this nation. I have no doubt, and this forum is doing excellent job with beautiful host for giving me, and I would like to mention that Varsha, thanks for giving such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you. Thanks to my fellow panelist, Mr. Nawab sir, and as well as the other friends, Dr. Geeta Madhavanji. Now, in the program, 6 months in the program. One reason I accepted for this, I asked who are the fellow speakers. One, they said, Nawab sir, super, jolly. And another, Geeta Madhavanji, super, go, finish. So, this is what, they are very close to me, and we exchange so many provocative thoughts. Thank you. So such events should happen and in Chennai, and I know you've been working for past 6 months. I feel this is a great platform for all ladies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy. For you, since we've been talking about weaponry and not the AK-47 kind, what is a weapon that you recommend that women can use to safeguard ourselves in terms of cyber harassment, stalking, just to protect ourselves in an online space?
Stop putting so many selfies in the internet.
Other than that,
don't engage yourself so much in the Facebook. That's the only thing.
With strangers, okay.
No, Facebook, most of them are strangers.
Yeah.
You cannot maintain 4,000, 5,000 friends in Facebook. No, I'm not talking about you, okay? You have only 108 friends. I'm just talking. How many are there in your Facebook?
I lost count.
Huh? And they are friends for you, right?
They're friends of friends.
See. So, the very simple thing is don't engage yourself too much in social media. So, if not today, tomorrow it will become a problem.
Yeah, the thing is, now I'm speaking as a lawyer. The thing is, one has to remember certain basic rules. Do not friend somebody who you've not met face to face. I even bump off women who I don't know. The second thing is, for God's sake, do not believe it's like what I call the McDonald's burger. Okay, it looks good in ad, it is not that great. So if you see a hunk or a beautiful woman or as a profile picture, do not believe it. That person could be a stalker, that person could have found you through some ways, and so you're exposing yourself to potential danger. And in Twitter, anyone can access. Don't put your personal life and your personal drama. We never did that before. We had a friend, we had a problem with our husband or somebody or with your son or your child, and you spoke to a good friend and you said, look, I have this problem, and that person could tell you, you're wrong, you're right, don't do it, lay off, just take a break, whatever, and we were all fine with that. But today what happens is you put all your drama out there. Everybody can see it. And there will be people who will use that vulnerability against you, 100%. So that is why I think Dr. Reddy pointed out, or you don't talk, you have only 100 odd, which is true. So he knows. And only when I met him face to face, and I said, okay, now you can send me a request and I won't bump you off. So I think that's a fundamental rule. After all, to put it very succinctly, I won't take more than 30 seconds. You're walking down the street. Somebody comes and smiles at you. Do you invite him home to tea? Then why do you invite strangers into your life? I don't understand.
Can I just, take the spirit of Mansi's questions, because there have been certain situations and people have approached us for that. So of course we understand there is this whole understanding of, self-vigilance, discernment, to the extent of putting a lot of pressure, like our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi said, we are always doing that with our daughters, saying, where are you going? Who are you talking to? Why did you talk to him? Why did you stay out late that night? You invited this problem to yourself. I understand that part of the problem. There is a societal mindset which is trying to tell women to do all the thinking and not ask the men to do so much thinking. That's besides the point. It's a mindset change. It's going to take its own time. The question I think that Mansi wants to know, and I know that many women here want to know, because we get a lot of these questions, and since you are experts in the area, what happens when it actually happens? So what you're saying is preventive, but when it actually happens, you have a stalker. What are the remedial measures? Do I go to the police? What do I do in order to address the problem of a stalker or cyber harassment that exists even when I have not invited them, even if they're not Facebook friends? I'm there somewhere. It's an open space. How do we make the cyberspace more secure, just as we make our roads more secure, our railways more secure, our airspaces more secure? What kind of security measures are we going to put in, which everybody in the public knows, yeah, these are the security measures that are in place? So I just wanted to pick your thoughts on that.
Can you be a little specific about the problem?
I think cyber stalking is one, when you have somebody on Twitter, let's say, who's sort of following you and then goes on this whole thing of trolling you, giving you death threats, rape threats, all kinds of things that sort of gets to the women,
See, two things. If it is a death threat or something like that, there is no second thought. You should approach enforcement police department. But before that, if something like someone put your picture and someone wrote something about you, not in a proper way, it is always, we, in the National Cyber Safety and Security Standards, we take almost only 24 hours to remove that pic. Irrespective whether they give control to us or not, that's different, but we can get into that Facebook account or that Facebook, Twitter account, we can remove it immediately. That can be done, always. If anyone requires this kind of help, you can always contact our office.
Okay.
And we do it at free of cost.
Excellent. That's what we wanted. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's exactly where we were trying to go to. See if there's somebody we can reach out to. God forbid that were to happen. And with that extremely enriching discussion, I'm sure you all got a world of goodness out of this. We'd like to begin with the awards ceremony to present small tokens of our affection on behalf of the Women Economic Forum. I invite Dr. Harbeen Arora. And also like to invite Lakshmi Shankar here, please. You all know she's been really coordinating the entire efforts for this forum. My sister Lakshmi to please join me in presenting the awards. We'd like to present the first award to Mr. Shashi Kumar. As a leader of the decade in media and innovation, we congratulate you, sir, the chairman of the Asian College of Journalism. Also a renowned television personality. Our next awardee this morning is Dr. Amar Prasad Reddy, accepting the award as the leader of the decade in cybersecurity and technology. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Calling upon Mr. P. Santana to accept this award on behalf of the Women Economic Forum, Chennai 2018, as the leader of the decade in business and leadership. It's a privilege to present this award to Nawabzada Muhammad Asif Ali Ji as a leader of the decade and community development. We invite Dr. Geeta Madhavan to accept this award as a woman of the decade in international law. We congratulate you from the bottom of our heart to the body of work you continue to deliver on this very special morning on behalf of the All Ladies League. Yes, I invite the prestigious speakers please to step up for a group photograph so we can archive this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give this very special panel the warmth of our heart for the wisdom that we've received from them this morning. Thank you very much. We'd also like to